So, welcome back. I'm glad you're here. Today, we're going to do an exciting reading from a piece called Desiderata. When I first heard of this piece, I heard it was anonymous, but someone gave me this handout and they mentioned Max Ehrman as the author of this piece from Things Desired in 1927. I don't know, and it really doesn't matter because the beauty and the wealth of this piece. So I'm going to invite you to do your own reflections as we go along. I'm going to read slowly. I might not even complete a sentence before I give you my commentary. And again, you can do your own reflection or contemplation. So here we go. Go placidly amidst the noise and haste. Now, right away, I noticed years ago that our society is in a hurry to go nowhere. So it's something to think about reducing our speed, the speed of our thinking, the speed of our cars, the speed of our society in general. And remember what peace there may be in silence. In all of our studies of religious and spiritual traditions, metaphysical traditions, one of the things that appears over and over again is the importance of silence. In silence is when we hear the still, silent voice. Some people call it the whispers. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Now, it's interesting he used the word surrender. My interpretation of that is I don't have to surrender my own truth, but I can be peaceful in expressing my truth. And remembering it's my truth, it's not universal truth. So, as far as possible without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. It also sounds like acceptance. Speak your truth quietly and clearly. Now, notice the word quietly. I would think that means to me with humility and not aggressively. And also be clear in my communication as much as possible. Communication itself can be very slippery. And listen to others. I have talked to numerous men that make the mistake when their wives are venting, as we all do, that immediately the man goes into solving the problem. And in my experience, what women want and men is they want to be heard. They don't want any problem solving unless they ask for it. And listen to others, even the dull and the ignorant, they too have their story. I recall a person bringing into one of our groups a nun who said, if we listen to the other person's story, it's impossible not to love them. So by listening to the other person's story, it automatically puts us into love or compassion, whatever you prefer. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. Now, it doesn't say reject loud and aggressive persons. It says avoid. They are vexations to the spirit. Those are the people in the world who are constantly criticizing, complaining. You know, Dale Carnegie, in his leadership principles, his first leadership principle is do not criticize, condemn, or complain. The three C's. You know, when I was exposed to that years ago, I said, this is a lifelong challenge. So I took it up. If you compare yourself with others, you become vain and bitter. Now, back to the illusion of superiority and the twin illusions, the separation and superiority, it lends itself to comparison. So, what he's saying here, if I compare myself with others, I'll become vain and bitter. For always there will be greater or lesser persons than yourself. And that's true in certain domains. That's not true generally. That we all have certain talents and abilities, and those talents and abilities are unique to us. So avoid comparisons. Honor your own talents and abilities. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. So give equal balance to here are my achievements and here are my plans. And by the way, in terms of plans, I would keep in mind the Buddhist idea of non-attachment. So yes, plan and don't be attached to outcomes. Celebrate whatever achievements that we have. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. So stay involved in your own career. Make it a mission. Make it your purpose. Make it an expression of who and what you really are. There are no better and worse careers. We tend to idolize people and put them on a pedestal, and it's a setup for the fall because they will fall off of our pedestal. Exercise caution in your business affairs. So be careful. For the world is full of trickery. I'd say full of trickery by some, not by most. So just be aware that there are tricksters in the world. Notice it, don't judge it, and move away from it. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is, which there is a lot of virtue. I was thinking at one time that I wanted to set up a good news network because if you look at the news, it's not a whole lot about virtue. Many persons strive for high ideals. And everywhere life is full of heroism. So heroes are those people we can admire and mimic in some ways. So think about who your heroes are. Be yourself. That is the crux of this whole program. Be yourself. So in order to do that, we need to be clear about the question, who am I? It doesn't say, be your ego. Especially do not feign affection. You know, many people that really have difficulty with affection. You know, if you think about it, giving and receiving are one and the same. So if I feign affection from anyone in any form, I'm not receiving. Neither be cynical about love. I would say neither be cynical about life. For in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. In fact, in my estimation, it's the only thing that's perennial. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Many people struggle with aging. And I'm at the point where I am definitely aging at 72 years old. But there's a way to deal with aging gracefully. And perhaps we'll deal with that in a future video. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune. Because we all deal with misfortune, challenges in life. So nurture strength of spirit. Build that into your practices. But do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Boy, I have done that over and over again. There's a lot of stuff happening in the world that I can attend to and get into dark imaginings. It is not beneficial for me. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. So that's making us aware of you need to take care of yourself. I need to take care of myself. It is not selfish to take care of oneself. In fact, many caregivers burn out on caregiving because they're fatigued and lonely. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. So there it is again. Take care of yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. So interesting metaphor. Child of the universe. Some people may say child of God. People may say we come from source, or we are a derivative of the Tao. Whatever way you want to look at it, be gentle with yourself. You're a child of the universe. You have a right to be here. Not only do you have a right to be here, you have a right to your joy. One of the future videos, we're going to look at the Book of Joy, written around an encounter between the Dalai Lama and Tutu. I think I mentioned that in earlier videos. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. What a statement of optimism. And by the way, my wife just read an article about optimism, and optimists live a higher quality of life and they live longer. Very interesting, and it's significant. So there, another book written by Bernie Seligman called Learned Optimism, highly recommended. Optimism can be learned. One of the things he points out is that pessimists have three central characteristics, and they are when challenges arise in life or problems, they take it personally. They see it as being pervasive across all domains, so my whole life is falling apart, and they see problems as being persistent. They never go away. Three central characteristics of pessimists. Therefore, be at peace with God or source or spirit, whatever you conceive him or her to be. And whatever your labors and aspirations in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace with your soul. Now, I keep mentioning books. Rudolf Steiner wrote a book where he talks about soul. He gives a wonderful analogy for me. He said that the roots of a flowering plant are our everyday life on the planet Earth. This is where we're grounded as humans. The flower on the plant itself is spirit, and the soul is the stem, which is connected to both spirit and our everyday lives on the planet Earth. With all its shams, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Another statement of optimism. I've experienced many broken dreams, and a very powerful technique about that is what I call reframing or perspective. So reframe the dream. Maybe do it differently, or maybe do something else related to the dream. Be cheerful, strive to be happy. So there, my friends, is Desiderata with my commentary and your reflections. Thanks for your time again. So I'll say goodbye, but I'll say hello because I have one more thought. And it actually is not a thought, it's a poem written by Rainer Maria Rilke. That's translated by Robert Bly, called Sometimes. Sometimes when a bird cries out, or the wind sweeps through a tree, or a dog howls in the far off farm, I still hold and listen a long time. My soul turns and goes back to the place where, 1,000 forgotten years ago, the bird and the blowing wind were like me and were my brothers. My soul turns into a tree, and an animal, and a cloud bank. Then, changed and odd, it comes home and asks me questions. What should I reply? Thanks again.